G'day, legends. It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here. Before we get stuck into another great interview brought to you by Crannk.com and thatmetalstation.com, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, and that way you can keep up to date with all the best music and interviews from all over the world. G'day, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with Crannk.com and with thatmetalstation.com. So tonight, wherever you are in the world, it is a great pleasure that I'm having a chat with Ascalaphus from Forlesen, whose first debut album come out 2020, I believe, Hierophant Violent. They're due to release their follow-up, Black Terrain, comes out October 28th via I Voidhanger Records. Cheers for joining me, mate.
Cheers.
Absolute pleasure, man. It's good to get to catch up with you and find out a little bit more of Forlesen. I was sent the stuff over from Curtis and absolutely blown away. I've kind of rediscovered doom metal over the last 3 years, man, and some of the doom metal that has been coming out has been unreal. Can you tell me a little bit about kind of where this project first began from?
Sure. End of 2016, I had worked with Bezalith we worked together in Botanist at one point as part of live band. And we'd been friends for a while. I'd known that I wanted to do a project with her at some point. I'd kind of been bugging her about it. And at that time, I think the conditions were right in both of our lives that it made sense to start doing something. And she just said, I want to do something, darker and more minimal than I've done before. And I took that and ran with it. It's kind of a messed up time in both of our lives. So it was something where we were just finding a way to channel that into something that we find hopefully beautiful.
Yeah, it was a definitely messed up time in the world for everybody the last few years, hasn't it been? And that's kind of one thing that we can kind of all, say we've all been in the same boat as well. And that's probably one reason I've kind of dove back into doom metal and really embraced it. It's kind of like, almost for me, a soundtrack for the last few years as well.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely crazy. Can you tell me a little bit about working on that first album, Hierophant Violent? Because that came out 2020, and dropping that album as well, 2 tracks, man. Absolute amazing album, man. Epic album. Tell me about working on that one.
Thank you. Let's see. I mean, like I mentioned before, Bezalith and I, we were end of 2016, after we had that conversation, I went home and started working on stuff. And, she had told me, like, I'm not going to be available for a while. And I sent her something, and then she got excited about it. And it just, it gained momentum pretty quickly. We wrote that album together, sort of within that first year. But then Ascalaphus, I'm Ascalaphus. Melius came in. We brought him into the band, and he became our drummer. And with that, he just having real drums as opposed to programmed drums, that changes things a lot. And then we kind of worked with that, and he was involved from earlier on in the new album.
Yeah, and the thing about doom metal is when people are listening to it, they're really tracking this down, eager to go on a journey. That's one thing I really do like about doom metal bands and the doom scene. When you jump into that first album, 2 tracks, 17:53 first one, 18 second one, you're going on an epic journey. It's like trying to explain to my girlfriend, I'm like, you put on a doom metal album, you chop up a bowl, you do whatever it is, you just immerse yourself in that album, and the best way to kind of experience it for me is to put on these headphones, crank it up as loud as it can go, and just kind of get lost in the journey. Is that the way you intend of making these albums?
Absolutely. I really enjoy music that it feels like you can walk around inside of, be that with your eyes closed, or I've had a lot of experiences listening to I like immersive music. I can think of times being up at 5 a.m, walking through a field with headphones on, listening to like ambient music, and just kind of like it, everything. It's perfect in those circumstances. Yes.
Yeah, music's good for that. You kind of get lost in the journey at times when I'm listening to a good album. Hence, this one at times I kind of find myself wandering in my own thoughts. And I know I've mentioned this quite a lot of times. That it's the closest for me that I'll ever get to a religious experience is listening to music and getting lost in those moments and those thoughts.
Oh, thank you. And I know what you mean. I mean, yeah, drone especially can
Yeah.
definitely, kind of help bring on. I mean, it's been used in religion, for so long. The
Yeah.
chant and everything. Just feeling that vibrate through you. It's uh, does something with your brain.
It does. It does definitely. Tell me about working on this album, Black Terrain. Great track, and you've just recently released the first one as the single Stregger as well.
Yeah, we have another single coming out this Friday.
Nice.
Herod.
Which,
Uh,
oh, you're going with Harrod Earth for the next one. Tell us about Stregger
yes,
first. Cool.
sorry, what was the question?
Tell me about Stregger first. Tell me about that track, man.
Oh man, that was the beginning. I mean, it is the beginning of the
Yeah.
album, but it was finished Hierophant Violence, and it was kind of like, okay, what's next? And um, had an experience where it was very it felt very raw. Just having this kind of raw, vulnerable moment. We're just trying to capture something on a harmonium, and singing, and just it was something that felt personal in a way that frankly felt uncomfortable, and so I guess there's two ways to respond to that. One is to go like, all right, well, that's a bad idea, or the other is to go like, this feels like where the danger is, so I want to move towards it. And that was the path, and then the album kind of unfolded from there. You know, what else can I say about it? I mean, there's harmonium, there's organ, there's almost 100 tracks went into the making of that song.
Yeah, yeah, it is really great track and a good opener. Kind of dives into the next one. Tell us about Black Terrain because that is the shortest one on the album, if you can say that at 8 minutes 57.
I'd say it's born of an extension of Strega. There's a synth note that actually happens, is going on basically from the beginning of Strega, and that emerges out of the end of Strega and then grows into Black Terrain. The first album, I think, both songs kind of begin with long ambient intros, and with this, we kind of jumped into things a lot faster, and but the ambient part is still, and drone is still a part of our sound, and I wanted to explore that with that.
So how do you make music as Forlesen? Tell me a little bit about your songwriting process for these tracks.
It's fairly organic, and it varies. Sometimes you know it can begin with lyrics, like what I was describing with Strega. It was something where it's like the seed of it happened kind of at the same time. It was just like, okay, I have this idea, and here's a statement, and here's a melody that goes with it right now, and then those both kind of you know grew from there. So it can really be one way or the other. And there's been occasions where words come in closer to the end, but it's typically one is informing the other. We are Bazaleth lives in New York, and the rest of us are here on the West Coast. So at this point, it has been, with this album, it's been all uh, done remotely in terms of the initial recording process. We tracked drums and organ and in the studio, but everything else was done in home studios. But basically, I write the music at the beginning, and then I bring other people in, and we kind of go like, okay, now what? Okay, now what? And like, that's not quite right. Like, what do we do from here? And how do we make this as dense as possible? How do we make this as rich as possible? Or I mean, or sometimes you really just want it to be spacious. So
Yeah.
balance that.
Yeah, exactly. And can you tell me a little bit about working with Bezaleth? It must be fun because the contrasting vocals of used to just make this bloody album. So the sound is really good.
Thank you. And yeah, no, it's a treat to work with her.
Yeah,
I feel very I feel very fortunate to work with all, everyone in the band. I'm surrounded by really talented musicians, and it's awesome. Um, but yeah, I mean, she and I started the band together, and I think that there's a synergy there.
yeah,
I with this, with the first album, it was more I wrote something, and then she would write another part. With this new album, it was that I wrote everything, and then she came in and helped with arrangement. But her arrangement to things dramatically affects what the final sound is. So it's all a navigation in that regard, and kind of like figuring out like, hey, does this work here? But like, or uh but yeah, she's an amazing talent.
yeah, yeah. It really did kind of blow me away, and I kind of mean that because I'm a musical explorer and I love listening to new albums, and I'm just blown away by how good the music scene is. And I hear all these older metalheads going, "Oh, there's no good metal, there's no good rock coming out, mate." I've been blown away by so much good fucking music, and when I listen to bands like you that I haven't heard before, and I'm just blown away. It just for me, it's just encouraging and always motivates me every day listening to new music and diving into albums like this. I can't recommend it enough. Someone's just watching this interview and they haven't heard you guys. They need to jump over and listen to you as well.
Well, thank you so much. And yeah, I would agree with you. I think that the for everything that has been horrific in the last few years, there's been music has really been I, I'm I feel like I'm hearing more new good music than I have. It's almost like a second adolescence at that time when, like, you're just hearing everything and just exciting you. It just like there's a lot of really good stuff out there right now.
Yeah, and the underground scene as everything comes up. Please, people do dive into the underground scene. Tell me about the next track, Harrowed Earth Mix. That starts out real black metal vibes into it, and then it cuts in a little bit, kind of probably halfway through the track, probably 6 minutes, has that little bit of an interlude, man, and it's just really cool. And then Bezaleth comes in, and it's sort of a really nice track, man. And I'm looking forward to that one dropping as well for everyone to listen to.
Thank you. Gosh, what to say about it? You know, there's a lot of influences to
Yeah,
Forlesen, and black metal is absolutely one of them. And I was listening to a lot of Beharit at the time, and it's sort of like I love Low, I love Beharit, and it's sort of like looking, not in that track specifically, looking for the overlap of those things, but just in the grander sense of the band, looking to create these things all exist in the same universe,
yeah,
and to have a sound to the band where those things maybe are surprising, but it doesn't sound foreign, or it doesn't sound like it's somehow a different band. um and so yeah, with that, just wanting to I mean, I've been a black metal fan since I was a teenager. Uh I feel like I appreciate, what true black metal is, and I wanted to honor that in the approach that we took to the track. And I also love good death doom. Like that's disembowelment and stuff like that is very exciting to me. So uh, yeah, just exploring some of those influences there.
yeah. Looking forward to that one. When did you say that one's going to drop?
That's dropping this Friday.
Oh, yeah, nice. There we go. There we go. And
No,
it leads.
uh, what the 30th, or
Awesome.
yes,
Yeah,
30th.
yeah. 30th there, 31st here. It's funny how it works with the time difference. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that one. And tell me about the last track on their album, man, Saturn.
That's actually the root, the main chord progression after the big ambient intro there. That is the oldest part of the album. That is something that I wrote before Forlesen officially started. Just the chord progression there, and it was something that at the time that I was writing it, I was thinking like, this would be something that'd be awesome to work with Bezalith on. Like, and so it wasn't in the right place to, for the first album, but as it was getting done with the first album, like starting the second album, is going, I think I can find a way for this to be in the second album. And so in a way, it sort of was a destination of sorts. It's kind of like, oh, I could imagine this being the closer. And so there was the initial seed of inspiration that everything unfolded from there, and then I kind of wrote from there to Saturnine. And Yeah, I mean, there is most of the ambience at the beginning is created with guitar. There's and there's also Leila Abdul Rauf played glockenspiel on it, and trumpet, um, which it's so stoked to get to work with her. She's such an immense talent, and also a really good friend. Um, and Gosh, yeah, wanting to explore. I mean, there's a Leviathan record, a Silhouette and Splinters, where he did like just it's kind of just this big ambient wash that it's all, there's no synths on it. It's all being done with guitars and ebos and things like that. And I wanted to uh, that was like a frame of reference, just of a reference point of just kind of going like, oh, like I want to explore making ambient music, without being so reliant on synth. There is a little bit of that crept in there at the end, just to kind of fill out certain frequencies, but it's not the main sound you hear.
Yeah. Best place people can get along and support you guys as well. Pre-order albums. These are up on Bandcamp, I noticed as well.
Yeah, no, it's available on the I Voidhanger Bandcamp.
Yep.
And Yeah, we've got also they've got a merch shop. I can pull up the link here.
I can chuck the link in for that as well, people. So
Yeah,
definitely get along and grab that. That's what I like about sites like Bandcamp. You can go along and buy said albums, even if you can't get the physical, you go buy the digital, you got it on your phone,
oh yeah,
top quality, you
yeah.
know what I mean? You can play it wherever you like and it sits to your account, and it's a really great way of supporting the bands in the scene.
Yeah, no, I listen to a lot of Bandcamp. I'm
Yeah.
grateful it exists.
Yeah, I've definitely spent a lot of money over on Bandcamp, but for me, it's money well spent, every single dollar of it. Tell us about the artwork for this. Who done the album art?
Oh, Benjamin Vierling, and incredible talents. Feel very fortunate to get to work with him. He, you know, Working with him, he's very inspired. And yet he also, he talks with us about, sort of what we have in mind, and if there's images that are coming to mind, and share the lyrics with him. And so in sort of discussing the sorts of themes that are contained within the album, and and sharing the lyrics, and the sorts of images that we can imagine, he'll make some suggestions, and from there, we agree on something together.
There's the
Um,
image, people.
yes.
That's it's a really, really cool cover. I love doom metal, man. I just love all sorts of metal. I'm just a music fanatic, but some of the covers, like you'll see on these doom metal albums, and yours in particular, since we're talking about it, is just a great album. Kind of represents the album as well.
Yeah, I mean, I
I love the
appreciate that.
look of it.
I appreciate that the album art is also has the feel of something that you could walk around in, that you
Yeah,
can get lost in, and like really like, you can, both in terms of it just creating an atmosphere, or like a sense of space, but also there's a lot to pick apart in terms of what the different themes are within it, and sort of the different illusions that are contained therein.
yeah, no, really, really cool. So everyone grab the physical for that as well. So you've got it. Ascalaphus, man, do you guys play live? What's the plans for playing live? Or at the moment, are you just studio, or kind of see where it goes? What's happening on that front?
We would love to play live. As I mentioned before, we're geographically dispersed. I'm in the Portland, Oregon area, and so I'm, the rest, uh, 2 out of the other 3 members are relatively close to me, so it's feasible to make happen. And the plan is for it to happen. We were about to play our first show before the pandemic hit. We had something lined up. We were going, and yeah, then the world shut down. So we'll get back to it.
Yeah, so fuck you, COVID. We'll get there. Cheers, man. That's what I think, dude. It's good to see the scene coming back and everything happening, and great music coming out, and bands like yourself starting to look towards the future. Mate, look, Ascalaphus, everyone grab Black Terrain, drops October 20th via I Voidhanger Records. I do apologise, my cockatiels have started in full force. Do you have any last words, shout outs, or thank yous you'd like to add in there, my friend?
I mean, first off, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Aside from that, working with I Voidhanger has been awesome. And thank you to everyone that has checked us out so far and supported us.
There you go. You heard it from Ascalaphus. Everyone grab Forlesen, Black Terrain, October 28th. Everyone go over and grab Hierophant Violent as well. Crank it up really loud. The neighbours are going to want to hear this as well. Cheers, mate. You have a cracking night.
Thanks so much, Jai.
Mate, hey, fucking my man, fucking Jobber, that fucking metal guy, motherfucker.